that I posted recently about some of my favorite words in the English language, and I enjoyed that, so I thought it might be cool to do words that we don't have in the English language. So I put together a list of interesting words that we don't have direct translations for in English. First, I have hiraeth. 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 That's Hiraeth. Hiraeth. It is a Welsh word that means a homesickness for a time or a feeling. This is such a cool word because it's another one of those universal human experiences. I feel like all of us, at some point or another, look back at times of our lives, and retrospectively they're better than they actually seemed in the moment, and hiraeth is a word that can kind of describe that longing for a time rather than a place, or a feeling rather than a place. So maybe you have that homesickness for the security you felt when you were a kid, or for how you felt when you were in elementary school and had nothing to worry about and no responsibilities. Next, I have sisu. 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 That's S-I-S-U. This is a Finnish word that means a kind of stoic determination, grit, and courage in the face of adversity. Adversity. And the way that I understand it is more than perseverance. It goes beyond just perseverance. It's even greater steadfastness in the face of adversity. Next, I have Monono Awari. Monono Awari. Monono Awari. All of these are going to be difficult for me to pronounce because they're not in English, and English is my, really the only language that I'm fluent in. So, forgive me if I mispronounce these, but Monono Awari is a Japanese phrase that describes the bittersweet awareness of impermanence. 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 And I can spell it for you in English, but obviously, since it's a Japanese word, it's not, you wouldn't spell it with the same letters you use characters in Japanese. So if you want to look it up in English, it's M-O-N-O space N-O space A-W-A-R-E, Monono Awari. And this is something that I've spoken about with friends. Sometimes we'll have philosophical conversations that kind of make us think deeply about our lives. And one of the things we've talked about in the past is, if you could live forever, would you? And I always thought I wouldn't, even though I love my life. If it is infinite, I feel like it loses value. So I feel like this phrase kind of describes that feeling. Next up, I have Kilig. 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 That's Kilig. This is a word from Tagalog that describes the fluttery, giddy feeling you get when something romantic happens. Romantic. And if you watched the video that I made recently about my favorite words in English, then you might remember me mentioning that I really love words that describe human feelings and emotions. It kind of gives me the sense that even though we're all totally different and unique, we still have a lot of the same experiences, and that just makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. Next up, I actually included this word in my other video. It's saudade. 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 This is a Portuguese word for a deep melancholic longing for someone or something that's gone, with the understanding that it may never return. Never return. Never return. So this is obviously a sad kind of emotion, but still interesting that it's something that enough humans experience that we need a word specifically to describe it. Next, I have one of my favorites on this list. It is a Spanish word. It is sobremesa. 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 That's Sobremesa. It literally translates to over the table. Over the table. Over the table. It refers to the enjoyable time you spend with family and friends after a meal is done and you're just sitting around the table talking. This is such a cool word, and I kind of wish we had not only the word in English, but also that our culture, in America at least, was such that this is the kind of thing that demands a word. Saudade. Saudade. I feel like often in America we are in a rush to get from one thing to the other, and in my experience, European culture is a little bit different, and it leaves room in the day for things like sobremesa. Next, I have forsket. I'm sure that I'm mispronouncing that, and I'm sorry. Forsket. Forsket. That's Forelsket. That's a Danish word that refers to the euphoric feeling of being in love, often in the beginning of a relationship. This is another thing that I think is cool to understand, is universal, because I think we all feel a little silly when we first fall in love and feel that initial feeling of romance. And the fact that there is a word for it suggests that maybe we are totally normal for experiencing that. Next up, I have probably the hardest word on this list to pronounce and also spell. It's Mamilapinatapai. Mamilapinatapai. That's Mamilapinatapai. Mamilapinatapai. This is a word from Yagan, which is I think it is a nearly lost language. Yagan is Yaghan, in case you want to look it up. It's the shared look between two people who both want something but don't want to be the one to initiate bringing it up. Again, that's just something that I think we've all experienced, and I love that there's a single word for it. I have another Japanese word here, komorebi. 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 That's Komorebi. Also, I'm sorry if you can hear the landscapers off in the distance. It's very difficult to find time to record when there's no noise going on, and sometimes things like this happen, so I'm sorry if it's distracting. Komorebi is a Japanese word that refers to the sunlight sifting through the leaves of trees, which is such a poetic thing to have a word for, and I love that. So beautiful. Next up, I have a French word, dépaysement. 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 That's Depaysement. That's a French word that refers to the feeling of being out of one's element. It's kind of like the thrill of being somewhere foreign. Dépaysement. 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 Next up, I have a Russian word, toska. 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 That's a deep spiritual anguish, often without a specific cause. It's like a yearning for something unattainable. A yearning for something unattainable. Toska. 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 That's something that I've definitely experienced in my life. And it's a pretty terrible feeling, if I'm being totally honest with you, because if you stop and think about it, I think you know that it's unattainable, and yet you can't stop the anguish. Next up, I have Merigiare. 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 As you might have guessed based on the pronunciation, that is an Italian word. It means to rest in the shade during the heat of the afternoon. Merigiare, that's Merigiare. Merigiare. And it's a kind of slow, sluggish, meditative rest. So it's different than like a regular nap. Especially because it's specific to resting in the afternoon, in the shade, in the protection from the sun. I have a German word next, and I apologize extra for this one because although English is a Germanic language, or largely a Germanic language, German pronunciation is something that escapes me many times. So this is Waldensamkeit. Waldensamkeit. That's Weinsamkeit. Waldensamkeit. That refers to the feeling of being alone in the woods, which, if you've ever been in the woods, you know there might as well be a word for that, because it is a very distinct feeling that everyone who has been in the woods probably has felt. It's a feeling of solitude mixed with that feeling you get when you are connected with nature. Nature, 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 nature. Next, I have a French phrase. This is l'esprit de l'escalier. L'esprit de l'escalier. It literally translates to the spirit of the stairs. And it is the feeling that you get after you have left a party when you're on the stairs out of the building and you think of a comeback to something that somebody said in the party, but it's too late to use the comeback. Again, this is such a universal human experience. I think we've all experienced this probably many, many times, and it's so frustrating. That's L apostrophe ESPIRIT space DE space L apostrophe ESCALIER. Esprit de l'escalier. Interestingly, the next word that I have means the same thing, but it comes from a different language. In German, the word Treppenwitz. 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 That's TRAPPENWITZ. It means the exact same thing. It's the feeling you get when you come up with a comeback in your head after it is too late. And it literally translates to stairs wit, which means it's the same thing as the spirit of the stairs. It's the wit that you finally come up with when you're on the stairs. What a frustrating feeling. And then finally, I have a double Schlemiel and Schlamazel. Schlemiel and Schlamazel. These are Yiddish words. So Schlemiel is SCHLEMIEL and Schlamazel is SCHLEMAZI. Schlemiel and Schlamazel. They're Yiddish words that often go together. So a Schlemiel is a chronically inept person who's constantly making mistakes, and a Schlamazel is a chronically unlucky person. So a good example is a Schlemiel. I just read about this before. A Schlemiel is the person who climbs up a ladder with an open bucket of paint to start painting the second story of a house or something, and drops the paint from the top, and it spills all over and wastes the paint. A Schlamazel is the person on the ground that the paint falls on. So Schlemiel and Schlamazel in Yiddish humor often go together. There are a few instances I can think of in pop culture where these words come up. If you watched Parks and Recreation, Ron Swanson comes up with a different example. He says the Schlemiel is the person walking through a party with a plate of food that drops the plate of food onto somebody. They're chronically inept. The Schlamazel is the person onto which the food is dropped. And Ron Swanson says that Gary or Larry or Jerry or whatever you want to call him is both the Schlemiel and the Schlamazel. Schlemiel and the Schlamazel. Also, an older show, a much older show, Laverne and Shirley. If you've ever seen that, you probably still have the theme song stuck in your head from decades ago when the show aired. The two women, Laverne and Shirley, in the intro sing Schlemiel, Schlamazel, Hasenpfeffer Incorporated. I tried to find out what that meant, but I think it's just random. Even the actor said there was no specific reason that they were singing that. It was just a song that one of them used to sing on the bus to elementary school. Anyway, that's all of the words that I have for you today. Hopefully you found these interesting, and hopefully you learned a little something about the really cool words that other languages have that we don't have a translation for in English. There are tons of other words I found in my research, and other words that I've heard of, so if you like this kind of thing, definitely look up some other ones. There are really beautiful words and phrases out there that we don't have direct translations for. If you do find one that you particularly like, please let me know in the comments, because I love learning about words and other languages, and also what language suggests about culture. And if you are already asleep, then don't worry about leaving a comment. That's even better. That's probably what you're here to do. So if you're not already asleep, then hopefully sleep finds you quickly. Thanks so much for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next video.